Brielle, stop it. Then mira. Stop. So normally I don't make these kinds of videos talking about like too personal things. Like I've had made other videos in the past that are a little personal, but we all go through things in life that sometimes we don't talk about on the internet. And you know, sometimes you see someone and you think that they're doing okay just because they don't talk about their personal stuff. But I just feel like I need to talk and just let this out because I don't know who to talk to. And it's fucking sad. Obviously by the title of this video, you guys kind of get the idea of who I'm going to be speaking about. And I will tell you guys what happened and why it's so like mixed emotions and how it's like uncomfortable. Like I'm feeling all kinds of things right now. So it's weird, but I guess I'll start by explaining how we got to this point. So me and my baby's dad have been arguing on and off for a lot of time now. We've been together for 10 years and we do have a baby. She's about to be 1 year old. I did stuff to him, he did stuff to me, and I'm not saying it's his fault or just my fault. Like I feel like we both have some fault in this. And what I hate is that I feel like I'm always blamed, and it seems like everybody thinks that my attitude is the reason why he acts the way he does. But at this point, like it's so many things that I don't know how to say it. Like I just don't like to talk about it. If you ask me a question about the situation, I'll just let you think what you want, and I get very angry, and it's not because I'm doing bad stuff. It's because I don't want to explain myself anymore. I don't care who believes me, or I don't care who thinks I'm right or wrong, who takes his side or mine. I don't care. It's just so much that I'm fed up at this point. For 2 days now, we've been arguing like non-stop, and it's bad. It's like really bad the way we argue. And I keep on telling him, like, please, if you don't stop bothering me, because normally it's him who calls me and just, you know, starts to argue. And I get that sometimes I do ignore some of the stuff he says, but I don't see how that's a reason to continue to bother me if I'm like pleading for like peace. I'm asking him, like I'm begging for him to leave me alone so that I can be at peace. And he you know, doesn't listen. I think I don't know what goes through his brain. Maybe he thinks I'm joking, but I'm to the point where I don't even know what to do anymore. And so for 2 days we've been arguing, and it's for stupid stuff. But anyway, I think it was yesterday at around like 4 p.m. I responded back to one of the messages that he had sent me the day prior. He sent me like 4 messages, but I didn't get to read them because it was already late. And then in the morning, I woke up to go to work. So when I got off work, I went to pick up my baby. And I was on my way to buy a coffee and get her some cans of milk. So then I read his messages and I responded back to them. And I feel like that kind of set off the conversation or the argument in a way, because I brought back like literally the conversation that we had just had yesterday, but that wasn't my intention. I was just trying to respond back so that it wouldn't seem like I was ignoring him. So long story short, we started to argue and I didn't even end up buying her milk. I just went to Starbucks and got a coffee. I didn't even drink my coffee. I left it in my car. So we started to argue. He was already at work because he does work second shift. So he was out at work already. And I remember that he was calling and blowing up my phone because he thought that I was with someone in my car. And then he turned on my location for Snapchat and Facebook so that he can keep track of where I'm at and where I go. And to me, that was very uncomfortable because why would you do that to someone? Not that I'm doing anything bad, but that's just weird. Like, you want to be... He didn't even tell me that he turned on my location. I never do that. So then he calls and says that I was at some place here in town. And I'm like, I never went there. Like, I drove to where I had to go pick up a coffee and get her cans of milk. But he says that I was at a certain place because that's what Snapchat told him. So I got really mad because when he told me that, that's when I realized that he had turned on my location to be basically checking on me. And to me, that at this point is harassment and stalking, because I didn't consent to none of that. So we started to argue a little bit about that. He started to question me and say that why am I so worried about that if I'm not doing anything bad? And I explained to him that it's uncomfortable. Even if someone's not doing anything bad, you have no reason to be acting that way. You're doing that stuff behind their back, like turning on their location just to know where they're at without the person knowing. Like, that's just weird. So one thing led to the other. We argued very bad. So then I got home and I was in my car still talking to him, arguing, and I was crying. So then my mom got home and she saw me crying and she knocks on my window like 5 or 6 times and I didn't respond to her. So she just went inside and got her phone, called me, and I still didn't answer. So then I'm at this, like, I'm still arguing with him, and I hung up on him and left him talking. And then ever since that, I think this was like at 4:30 or something, I didn't answer his calls until like 8 p.m. So then I came inside and I was crying and I told my mom and my sister, like, I can't no more. Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm really, really stressed out. And I'm asking him in a nice way to leave me alone and he just doesn't listen. I don't know what else to do. I've told him multiple times that if he doesn't leave me alone, I'm going to call the cops. And I think that he's taking it as a joke because I've never done it. So then, why is my forehead is all burnt? So then I left it at that, and he continued to call and call and call, and I wouldn't answer. He sent me like 27 messages, called me like 50 times. He then called my mom, and she would answer him, and then she would ask me that he answered the phone, he wants to talk, and I said no. So then he would, finally hang up, but he would continue to call her. And then this one time he called, and they spoke for like a good 35 minutes, and I didn't like the way she was talking because it almost seemed like she was giving him, like, taking his side, which I don't care, but it was just weird. Like, as a mom, you would take his side. Like, that's just, I wouldn't do that. I have a daughter and I would never do that. So she made it seem like, yeah, like the way she was telling him is like, yes, I understand what you're saying and I get it. Like, sometimes she's aggressive or she's, can be disrespectful or has a strong attitude. Like, I get that, and that is true sometimes, but it depends on who you are. I'm not like that with everybody, but this person in particular brings out the worst in me. So they just, continued to talk, and my sister told me earlier today that that's why she went into her room and closed the door, because she couldn't hear the stupid things that they were talking about. Like, it was just ridiculous because it seemed like she was taking his side and making it seem like I'm the bad person. So I came into my room, I fell asleep, and I didn't wake up until like 7:50. So then that's when he called again, and I finally, I called him back and I talked to him, but he continued to tell me things. So then I hung up my phone again, and I just went on for a good 3 hours. So then when I was going to go to sleep, I think this was already at around 11 p.m. I told my mom to bring me a nightlight, and she went into her room. She went and got it. So then I heard her talking to someone, and I looked out my door and I didn't see anybody. So then she walked in, and then I'm like, who are you talking to? And then she said his name, and I was like, he's here? Like, why did he come from work just to be here, like, to talk? And yeah, like, sure enough, he was here. He came into my room, but he didn't grab the baby because he had just got off work, so he didn't want to like touch her with his dirty clothes. So then he asked, I told him, like, are you leaving? Like, are you gonna take her? Like, what's gonna happen? Because I don't want to talk to you. So then he kind of just left it at that, and he didn't say anything to me because my mom was in the room. And then I told her, like, do you want to take her? He said, yeah, I'll take her. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me get her ready, because I had, like, I was gonna put her to bed already. So I got all her stuff, I got her ready, and then I carried her out, and he said, hold her while I turn on the car. And I said, okay. So I held her, and I was holding her bag, and he walked outside, and he was sitting on our bench outside. And then I walk outside, and I told him, like, here's my phone, because he had said that he wanted to check something on my phone from Snapchat or whatever. So I was like, all right, here, get it. So he started to go through my phone, and he started to ask me questions. And at this point, I'm like so fucking fed up, and I'm sorry about my language, I apologize, but I was so fed up. I'm like, please, like, just go through my phone, do what you gotta do, and leave me alone. I don't want to talk right now, like, for real. So I'm really, really, really annoyed already, and I'm tired of it. So he continued to ask me questions, and I'm standing by the door for a good 30 minutes, and I told him, like, are you done? Like, can I please have my phone? And he goes, why is Snapchat? Why did you turn this off? Or why did you say it was that? Why does this look like iCloud has a different account? Like, why this wasn't even the account you had? Like, all kinds of stupid shit that I don't care about. So then I told him, please, like, if you don't stop, I'm going to call the cops on you. And he thought I was joking. So then, no, Brielle, stop. Stop. Hey. So I told him I was going to call the cops if he didn't stop asking me these stupid questions and stressing me out. And he would make like the stupidest faces. Like, I would be like, please leave me alone. And he would be like, why? Like, he'd get the phone and he'd be like, this isn't even the account you had on there. Why is it like that? And I would be like, dude, like, what are you talking about? Like, I haven't changed nothing on my phone. It's been like that for like a long time. And he would go, this isn't the account that you had. And I'm just like so fucking fed up. Like the way he was talking to me and the stupid faces he would make. I'm like, you know what? It's been 2 days. I've been dealing with your stupid shit for 2 days straight. I haven't slept. I haven't ate. And like you're stressing me the fuck out. I'm telling you that I'm gonna call the cops and you won't leave me alone. And like you're not even respecting that I don't want you here. Like please, like what do I have to do for you to leave me the fuck alone? So finally, like the last thing he told me, I was like, it was like the last straw. Like I'm like, you know what? That's fucking it. Like I started to cry and I'm like, please. I walked to my mom's room and I'm like, please give me your phone. Like I can't take it anymore. Like please. And mind you, at that, like my mom was back and forth, walking back and forth, and I'm like, please don't leave. Stay here in the living room because I don't want to be alone with this guy. Like I don't want to be alone. And she stood there, but at the same time she was felt kind of uncomfortable when she would like walk back and forth. And finally I'm like, dude, just please, like I asked my mom, like just give me your phone, please. I can't take it anymore. So I got her phone and she didn't want to give it to me. So then she gave it to me and I dialed 911 and I couldn't even believe myself because I had been threatening him for years that I would call the cops on him and I never would. So then finally, like I called the cops on him and he walks in and he starts like to cry and he's like, please do it, like you're gonna ruin, because he has like all these plans with, you know, career wise and stuff. And he goes, please don't call the cops, like you're gonna ruin my career and like this and that and all kinds of shit. And I'm like, I told you I wasn't joking. And I'm like on the phone with the dispatch and then my mom's looking at me like, what are you doing? And she's just blaming me for for calling the cops on him. And she was like very mad at me and it was weird. Like, why would you be mad at me instead of taking my side? But she was really like upset with me. She was blaming me and saying like really messed up stuff. Like, why are you doing that? Like, you see, you're gonna cause this big issue. I don't want cops here. Like, why are you gonna do that? They're gonna arrest him. He's a nice guy and all kinds of stupid stuff. So I didn't back down. Like I still called and finally, like when I stopped talking to dispatch, they're like, okay, ma'am, I think that they're there. And yeah, like sure enough, I started to see their flashlights and they were outside my house. And then she ran to the door. My mom ran to the door to lock it so that the cops wouldn't come in. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then she tells me like he's on this side of my freaking face. Like, please, I beg you, like don't call the cops. Like, but they were already outside. And he goes, please, I beg you. And then my mom over here, like, why'd you do that? Like, why'd you call the cops on him? Like, you're gonna get him into trouble. They're gonna arrest him and this is all your fault. Like, I can't believe you did that. And like all kinds of things. And I'm crying because I'm already stressed out. And I'm like, finally, like I asked my mom to move and I moved her from the door. I unlocked the door because they were knocking really hard and they heard me that I was crying. So they knocked even harder. And I know that if I wouldn't have opened the door, they probably would have like kicked the door open of how stressed out I sounded. So then I opened the door and the officers, like they're talking to me and my mom's by the door, literally like blocking the fucking door, literally with her body. And she's telling them like, no, you're not gonna arrest him. Like, you're not gonna arrest him. This is my house and you're not gonna take him. And I'm like, I'm looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I called because I don't feel safe. And you're taking this person's side. Like, you're my mom. You're supposed to be protecting me. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And if you guys don't know, my dad passed away. So, like, I don't have my dad. And if he was here, like, it would be so much different. Like, he was a more nurturing person. And he always had my back and my sister's back. But, you know, my mom is not. She's just a completely different person. So I'm looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, she's blaming me and she's talking shit to the cops, telling them that they can't come in and they can't arrest him because he's a nice person. So then, like, literally, I'm not even joking, she's standing by the door so that they don't come in. And one of the officers goes, yes, but she doesn't want to be with him. Can you please let us talk to him? And she, like, the officer's trying to get my baby's dad out of the house. And she's, like, blocking the door so that they don't get to him. And I'm like, what are you fucking, like, what are you doing? So then she starts talking to the officer, and she's like, look, I know my daughter, and she has a very strong attitude. She's always aggressive. She's really mean. She's always, trying to fight, trying to argue, and she has a very strong attitude and always wants to like basically making it seem like I'm the problem. Finally, like I'm like, you know what, dude, like move out of the way. Like I'm trying to talk to the officers, and she's blocking the door so that they don't arrest him. And the officer got like very upset. Like she's literally talking shit to these guys, and they're like even staring at her like, what are you doing, ma'am? Like they didn't tell her, but they're looking at her this way, like they were all confused. Like, what are you doing? If she's your daughter, you're taking this person's side, and you're basically standing right in front of him so that he doesn't get arrested. And she's crying like, or like they're here to help me, and you're supposed to be like basically helping me out, protecting me, but you're taking his side. And I'm just there looking all stupid. Like it was a whole fucking, like out of a movie. Like it was chaos. And like finally I moved her out of the way, and I'm like, you know what, like leave me, like let me talk to them. So then he walked out, an officer took him, and they walked out. And then I went out, like I step out of my house to talk to the officer, and I explained to him what had happened and why, I called the cops on him. And he asked me like all kinds of questions, and I answered him, and I told him like I'm not acting like the victim here. All I want is for him to leave me alone. That's it. Like I don't want any problems. I'm not trying to take the baby away from him. I'm not trying to hurt him. I'm not trying to get him in trouble. All I need is for someone to help me, because at this point I don't know who else to ask for help. Like it was really fucking stressful, really, really stressful. And I can't be the only one going through these things, but it just is what it is. So then, like, they started to ask me questions. I answered everything, and I can hear him like talking to the other officer, say things about me. And he was basically calling me a liar, saying that I'm doing stuff behind his back and that all I do is lie and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, what am I lying to you about? Like, yes, I lied to you in the past, but that does not mean I'm lying to you right now. And I get it. It's hard to trust someone after they've lied. But if you don't trust me, then leave me alone and don't be with me. Like, I don't see why you're trying to ruin your life too. Like, if it's not going to work out because you think I'm a liar, then it's not going to work out. But they gave me a card, my case number, and they basically suggested that I get a restraining order. And I don't want to do that, because I'm not a fucked up person. Like, I don't want to be fucked up and get a restraining order against this person, because I know it can be very, very, like, harming to him as career-wise. And I'm not that person. Like I said, I just want to be at peace. If he were to understand this without arguing, that would be so great. And I know it's going to be tough for me, but it's like right now, I think that's even easier than going through these things like on a daily basis. And finally, like, they left. They asked him to leave, and he went. But I came back inside, and my mom was basically telling me that it's my fault, that he was going to get arrested because of me, and that it's always my fault, and that I caused a big old issue, and that she doesn't want cops at her house, and like all kinds of shit. And I'm like, why would you talk to me like that if you're supposed to be taking my side and helping me out? Like, I can't believe, like, as a mom, you would take someone else's side. Like, I can't even explain the way, like, she was taking his side. It was so fucking weird and uncomfortable. I'm like, why would you do that? It made me look so stupid in front of these officers. Like, I called so that they can come and help me. And I thought she would help me. Like, yes, please, like, at least ask him, hey, just go, because she doesn't want to talk to you. If she doesn't want to talk, just respect that. No, this fucking bitch, and I'm sorry to talk like this about my mom, but it's just, I can't believe the way she was acting. It's just so freaking hard to believe at this point. And I've heard my sister say that she's a mean person, but I'm always like, no, she's not. She just has a different way of loving. No, dude, like, my mom is just, it's weird. It's just fucking uncomfortable the way she takes other people's side instead of her own daughters. Like, she's done this to my other sister too, and it's just uncomfortable as hell. It's just weird. I don't see myself doing this to my baby. If she needed help for any reason, even if it's her fault, I would never give her my back like that. Like, that's just uncomfortable. But she was blaming me for everything and saying that it's my fault and that I shouldn't have done that. This person is such a nice person and it's always my fault. Things like that. And I'm like, I don't even think my dad would ever do this to us, and it's weird. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to talk about that and just kind of let it out of my chest, because it's eating me alive. Like there's all kinds of other things that I would like to talk about, but I don't feel comfortable yet. And maybe like in the near future, I'll gain some courage to like talk about these things, because domestic violence is a real thing. And even if you think it's a joke, like there's people out there going through worse things than I am. And it's uncomfortable and it's hard to ask for help. And it takes a lot for a person to ask for help, because sometimes you're scared of whoever your abuser is. And I'm not going to consider what I'm going through domestic violence, although it might be, but it's hard to deal with. And when you don't have if you don't have a support system, that just makes it twice as hard. And I really never thought my mom would take someone else's side instead of mine, although I've seen it happen to my sisters. I never really thought about it. Like I never thought about her acting this way towards me, and it's just so frustrating. It's so messed up that she would do this. But yeah, I don't know. I feel really alone. I feel like I can't really talk to anybody, even though I have my two sisters. I still feel really alone, and it's just uncomfortable to feel this way.